and welcome to the post-Christmas edition of the FDT-TV podcast. I am, as always, Ian, and I'm joined by...
I'm Mike.
And we're here to discuss football. Mike's probably in a better mood this week, seeing as the last result for Arsenal was pretty good. But before we get into it, shall we have the goal of the week?
Yes.
Do you want a special intro for this weekend?
I would love
this week alone.
Special intro.
So this is behind the scenes for all of you. You think I use a voice changer? I don't. I harmonise. So I had to get my pitch first with a goal of the week.
Spot on.
That's how it's done. So
absolutely spot on.
I haven't warmed up properly today, so obviously it's not as effective as it is usually. But
yeah, so I think for the benefit of the people watching, I think we need to just clarify that we are recording this earlier today, and we would normally run the poll for the goal of the week nominations on Twitter. If you check below us, you'll be able to see our names, and you'll be able to find us on Twitter. Goal nominations, I think, will run for this week, and you have to tell us in the comments of who you think is the goal of the week contender. So my suggestions are Harvey Barnes from Leicester, El Ghazi from Aston Villa, Granit Xhaka for Arsenal. It's so nice to put us in a nomination. And Ben Johnson from West Ham United. I know who you're going to vote for.
Yes, I'm going. You know who I'm going to vote for, don't you?
Granit Xhaka, because it was outstanding.
Always. No, Ben Johnson, first goal for the club. He's been at the club since he was 6 years old. He's worked his way into the first team. People were saying to hook him at half time through no fault of his own, and he comes up with the first goal to equalise. So yeah, you can't fault him for that.
To be fair, I think with the pressure you guys were under at that particular time and the amount of bodies that he had to try and get that through, that is why I put that as a goal of the week contender.
100%.
I did want to give an honourable mention. This is an honourable mention to Saka. Now, the reason why I've had to give this an honourable mention is because whilst watching the game, I looked at it and thought, that's a mishit cross. He was trying to look for someone at the back post, but he seems to be adamant that he saw Mendy off his line and was trying to loop in shot. That was one of those ones when it went in, you're like, oh my God. And that's why I've put it down as goal of the week. But upon reflection, I think it was a mishit cross.
I don't know. Did you hear his post-match interview when they got a little comment from him?
Yeah.
Was you mentioned that? Of course I did, mate.
But yeah, I'm still a bit dubious as to whether that was supposed to be hit or not. So it's an honourable mention, but I can't put it down as a goal of the week because I think it was a fluke hit.
Yeah, that's fair. Have we got any saves of the week?
Yes. Just because it is Liverpool, and it was nice to see them come crashing down to reality once again. You have called it over the last few weeks about Sam Allardyce football, that he will make you strong at the back. And there's actually something I want to mention a bit later on. But Sam Johnston from West Bromwich Albion denying Firmino right at the death to keep the score West Brom 1, Liverpool 1. Well played to West Brom, I've got to say, to be fair. Because the Kop end was well up for the game. Liverpool did look up for the game. They did have a couple of chances, but Sam Allardyce football, mate. Sam Allardyce 101.
Were they... sorry. Get that way. I've read in the papers recently that apparently Sam Johnson may be on the move in January.
Oh, okay.
Which would be a big blow for West Brom. I'm not sure for what reason. It didn't specify. It was like, you know, where you get those clickbaity articles where it says it and you read it and it doesn't actually say a reason why. It just says, oh, it might be on the move. So I think it might be total tosh. But that's what I've read and I've seen it in several articles. So
yeah, do you want me to say the bit now that I was going to say Sam Allardyce, as we're already on that subject, or do you want to save it for any other?
Yeah, go for it. I like a bit of Big Sam talk.
So there was a comment I saw yesterday on Sky Sports, and I think it was something along the lines of, I could do what Klopp does at Liverpool with the players he's got behind him, but he couldn't do what I do at West Bromwich Albion. Or he can do what I do with teams in relegation.
Yeah, I would make him right. You can't always play pretty football. You've got to play as you need to. You got to play to the strengths of the players, haven't you?
Yes.
We look at West Brom. Yes, they've got some quick young players. They've got a couple of little creative players, but no one you would say is the same calibre as a Mane or a Salah.
Mm-hmm.
So you think when their big signing this year was Ivanovic, you go, well, actually he's been around. He's lost his legs a little bit, but he's big and strong, and you got to use that. You got to use that positive. So yeah. I still think you missed a trick. I think you should have got him.
Do you know what there is?
I know every Arsenal fan is going to be Arteta in this week, but
to be honest, mate, you know me, I'm quite open and honest about the my thoughts and feelings on this podcast, and I still think given or he'll be given to at least the end of the season, at least. But I mean, it was good to see. Actually, should we go on to that? Should we go on to the one good, one bad? There you go. That's my contribution.
Very good.
So the Arsenal versus Chelsea game. It was a game that, if you check out my preview, so as you guys know, or if you don't know, each week myself and Ian, we do a preview for the upcoming Premier League games. I had done one for Chelsea, so if you want to go back and check it out, and you'll be able to see that my team selection wasn't too far off of what was picked. To be fair, I did cover myself and did two different teams, because there was the team that I would pick and also the team that I think the boss would pick. But anyway, I was pretty close, and I did say at the start of that game that I was feeling very positive from what I'd seen against Manchester City. And now I know we did lose against Manchester City in the EFL Cup, but there were signs there for much more to be positive about. And it definitely showed in the Arsenal-Chelsea game. 3-1 winners. My one good. It's a tough one. I'm going to go with Martinelli. Just having him back into the team over the last couple of games, you can definitely see that there is more positive signs. He wants to get forward. His work rate is phenomenal. Gets frustrated when he doesn't score. Just wants to do everything he can to help the team. Now, my one bad. Do you know what? It's a tough one to pick. Conceding the penalty, I think, is the only bad thing I can take away from that game. But it's nothing that couldn't have been. Well, I suppose it could have been prevented, and luckily Leno was in goal to stop the penalty. Granted, it was a shit penalty, and again, I did say that in my upcoming preview against Brighton. But it was a bit of a tired legs challenge, bit of a silly boy challenge, and the penalty was given. But that's the only thing bad I can really say about that game.
Yeah. I think if that penalty had gone in, I could see that game being ended up as a draw.
Yeah. Chelsea
And
definitely
I
had their
just
tails up.
yeah, I think they thought they were going to walk it. The way you've been playing recently, I don't think that Chelsea team thought you were going to give them a game at all, and boy, were they surprised.
Yes. Massively.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my one good, one bad.
Overall, though.
Yes. Finally!
Finally. What you got to do now is carry that on, not slip back into how you were. For me, we'll start off with one good, and that was that we salvaged a point. We've never managed to beat Brighton in the Premier League. We've now played 7 times. We've had 4 draws and 3 losses. I was actually at the last draw at the London Stadium, which was 3-3, and this was 2-2. I did think, sorry, the way we had been playing, we would have gone out a bit more attack-minded. I know we're missing a few key players, but even so, I thought we would have gone attack-minded, but we didn't. We played in a weird formation with Jared Bowen up with Haller and Mark Noble sitting just in front of Souček and Rice, which was dead, which is why he changed it at half-time, which is actually my one bad, is his team selection. It was just weird. I appreciate there's lots and lots of games that are coming thick and fast at the minute, but why? Like, I can understand swapping Souček or Rice for Noble, but to put him in front of them doesn't make sense because he's never played there. He's always been a bit more defensive or centre of the park. To put him as the attacking linchpin in that team when you've got Yarmolenko sitting on the bench, you've got Fornals, Lanzini, Benrahma all sitting on the bench, it just confused me a little bit. When he changed it, it obviously changed our performance. But a point's a point. I'll take it at this point. We're still sitting 10th. It's just a case of trying to work our way round now to getting more positive results, which is never easy.
I can definitely vouch
But I did say in last week's podcast, didn't I, that usually the Chelsea game is the turning point in our season to come good. And we were playing really well, so my fear was that it was the turning point to play bad, and then with that team selection and the first half performance, I was like, oh no, I've got this spot on. But
I think you guys did well to salvage the draw, though. It was one of those games that I thought definitely could go 50-50 either way.
Yeah, with the first half, I actually fell asleep in the first half. It was so boring. I woke up just as Brighton scored.
Right.
I'd fallen asleep for about 5 minutes. It was such a boring half. I think we were lucky in a sense that Lamptey was still out injured, because that pace going down that side, I think, would have caused us all sorts of issues. But yeah, as you said, Ben Johnson scored. He wasn't having the best of games, but that wasn't his fault, I don't think. I think that was mainly because of how we were playing. So he didn't have the opportunity to go forward as a wing-back. But when he did, he scored first goal for the club, and he's been there since he's been 6, so you can't say it's not well-deserved. And hopefully he carries on in that vein of form and can replace Masuaku on that as that left wing-back role. One good, one bad from me. Done.
Job's a job. Now, a feature that I know you like the intros for.
I do.
Because there's a couple of things I want to discuss.
Yep.
And for those people that potentially think this is pre-recorded, I will do a nice one for you. VAR. Bloody VAR. Bloody VAR-y bastard. VAR! That's going to hurt your ears.
I like it.
No apologies.
I like it.
There's a few decisions that I'd seen over the weekend which I wanted to pick up. Mate, the two of them mainly from the Leeds game.
Okay.
Burnley versus Leeds. in the first half, Patrick Bamford's through on goal gets taken out, and then the penalty is given. Now, this is where we have spoken about it before, about being subjective. Because I looked at that decision and I thought the keeper got the ball, and it was just unfortunate that Bamford was behind the ball. But it was given as a penalty. Now, again, that's just my opinion. I may be completely wrong, but he got the ball first. Therefore, for me, not a penalty. However, in the second half, Ben Mee there was a cross going through or a through ball or something. Ben Mee was facing the ball, and the ball's coming over to him, and the keeper literally clatters through the back of him. Burnley then pick up the loose ball and score, but the goal is denied to say it was a foul on the keeper. Now, I don't understand how it could be a foul on the keeper, because Ben Mee was pretty much standing still, jumping up towards the ball, and the keeper's just gone through the back of him. I don't understand, because effectively, in my mind, those two challenges were very similar, but they haven't been given the same outcome.
Yeah, it is a difficult one, and I think you're right, it's subjective. I think goalkeepers may be given a little bit more protection than they should be in those challenges where they go up and are not strong enough. But yeah, it's a hard one. Did you see Fabio Silva for Wolves?
Funnily enough, that was the next thing I wanted to talk about.
We spoke about diving. Now, if this had been for Liverpool, that would have been a penalty. If that had been Salah, it would have been a penalty. Eric Dyer did kick the bottom of his foot. I think the only thing that let him down was how theatrical the dive was. It wasn't natural. I do think it's wrong that you've got to look at it from the state of view that you've got to go down to get a penalty. I don't think that should be the case. But if he'd gone down more naturally, would they have given it? I don't know. It's a hard one because there was contact. There was no contact on the ball, but he went down from the chest where he got kicked in the foot. So it doesn't really make sense to me. What's your opinion on that one?
Personally, that should have been a foul. I know this is going to sound like a typical Arsenal against Spurs fan, and there is possibly that little bit of bias in me that is making me think that is what it is. But I would have been raging if that was me. And at the same time, I don't think... Normally, I think I'm quite fair in the fact that I would say I would be outraged if it was for me. No, yeah, I'll be outraged if it was against me, but wanted it for me. This is one of those ones where I would have been outraged had that gone against me, as in, had we not been given the decision, and I wouldn't have felt bad if we'd actually done that. That would have been a "what the fuck are you doing" kind of moment. Do you know what I mean?
It was one of those. I don't think there was malice in it, but it was just completely mistimed and a bit of a sloppy tackle. So there's not much defence to say it shouldn't have been a penalty.
And that was pretty much what happened in the Arsenal-Chelsea game, with Pablo Mari conceding the penalty right towards the end of the game. Now, I know there was more contact, and Chelsea did deserve the penalty, but I don't think there were too many dissimilarities between the two incidents. You've given a penalty in one, why has it not been given a penalty in the other? Yeah. And maybe, as you said, it could have been the over theatrics for the penalty. For when he was going down, just wanting to be sure he gets that penalty, but at the same time, a foul's a foul.
Yeah, that makes sense. Does make sense. The other one that I did want to bring up, which West Ham fans are fuming about, but I don't think there was anything wrong with it, was what's his name? The Brighton defender who scored the goal. I want to say Dan Burn, but it wasn't Dan Burn. It was the other one.
Dunk.
Whoever it was. The ball hit him sort of.
Yes.
Hit his leg and his midriff and his elbow all at the same time.
Yeah.
But he was sort of jumped up to try and get it. And West Ham fans are going mad saying that should have been given as handball. But I think that was natural position. I don't think it. If you're jumping up and you're running, and that's. I don't think there was any intent to potentially handball. He didn't control it particularly well. He had to lunge at it to toe poke it in. So I think that was a correct decision for once. VAR did look at it. When you look at the VAR cameras, though, they're not quick enough.
No,
because that whole little picture they were looking at was all blurry because they're still filming in like 25 frames a second. It's just not good enough. They need better technology there. There is technology there to be able to do it, and I don't know why they haven't installed it. But yeah, it's just the fact that there was outrage with West Ham. You think, well, if that had been the other way round, you would have been outraged if it had been given as handball.
Yeah.
So, on reflection, I think it's fair. I think for once that is one they got right.
Yeah. Again, this is all completely subjective, isn't it? It's. I was looking at that, and the way that they kept looking at the decision, and they tried about 3 or 4 different angles of it. There was some that, as you said, looked like they were filming on a potato. But there was overall, I think it was completely inconclusive, and that's why the decision was given to give the goal, because they couldn't see very clearly 100% that it did hit his arm. And again, it's going to be one of those ones where you're going to be pissed off if it goes against you, and you'd happily accept it if you were on the other end of it.
Yeah. So sorry if you can hear that. It's just a washing machine. Got to get your clean clothes. Shall we move? Have you got any more VARs?
No, that was it.
That was it. So shall we move on to the score predictions?
Yes.
Every week we predict the scores for 2 or 3 games, depending on what's going on in the world. I don't know the updates of the scores, only Mike knows that. So the score updates is news to me, especially since we had 4 games this week, because the West Ham Chelsea game last week was happening just after we had filmed the podcast.
Yep. So the score updates we have got for this week, I've included in the big total. I've included in the big total the score, the West Ham Chelsea game that was going on at that particular time. So for this week we had the Arsenal Southampton, West Ham Crystal Palace, Everton Arsenal, and Chelsea West Ham. That was the week before, wasn't it? Because yours was the last game that we were trying to thing. So you had Chelsea 4, West Ham 1. I had Chelsea 3, West Ham 1. It was 3-0, so we both got a point each on that one. There we go. Upon reflection, we've just managed to locate the scores. For the Chelsea-West Ham game, we both got a point each. And then going into this week's run of fixtures, we had Arsenal versus Chelsea. Neither of us got any points for that because we both had Chelsea down as a win. And then the West Ham-Brighton game, Ian, you got 3 points for the correct result on 2-2. And I had West Ham down for a win. So, over the last couple of weeks, we have both accumulated 5 points, which moves the season totals up to Ian on 26, Mike on 33. That gap is closing, mate. I think I had like a 30-point lead at you at one point.
Almost. I'm rubbish at predictions.
I don't know. You've had some spot on ones so far, so I wouldn't count yourself out just yet. So now, obviously, we have the games coming up tomorrow. So we've got Arsenal versus Brighton.
Yep.
We have Southampton versus West Ham.
Yep.
And then for fun this week, we're going to throw in Manchester United versus Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So Arsenal
I think
versus...
that's potentially the game for neutrals this week, isn't it?
Yes. So for me, Arsenal versus Brighton, when I was doing some research for this particular fixture, I was actually quite surprised at how little that Arsenal have played against Brighton. So we have got, in all competitions, 12 wins against Brighton, 4 draws and 5 losses.
Is that in the history of...
That's in the history, in all competitions.
Yeah.
Over the last 3 years that Brighton have been in the Premier League, we have picked up 1 win, 2 draws and 3 losses.
Oh, blimey.
So this could potentially be a bogey fixture for us. I'm not... when I was doing my FIFA prediction, it did come up as 1-1. And again, if you want to go check that out, you'll be able to see my in my preview. But I'm going to be a bit more confident. I know we are playing away, but I'm going to go Brighton 1, Arsenal 2.
Okay. Now, for this one, Brighton are the kings of a draw. They had more draws last season than any other team. They've got more draws this season than any other team. Although Arsenal fans are going to be very confident after that thumping of Chelsea, I think Brighton are going to be more up for the game than Chelsea were. I don't think they're going to take it for granted. So I've gone with FIFA, actually. 1-1.
Okay.
1-1.
Southampton versus West Ham.
Well, with the odd team selection that we went with, I can see David Moyes doing it again. I don't know if that was just for squad rotation or whether it was just shits and giggles. I'm not too sure myself. But Southampton are above us in the table by 1 place. They have got a set-piece specialist in James Ward-Prowse. I do think they've got a bit more about them going forward in terms of striker. So I think it'll be a competitive game. But I think we'll start a little bit slow and that'll be their downfall, and it will be 2-1.
I think I'm inclined to go for a draw on this one.
Well, I was contemplating the same, but yeah.
Just because I saw how well you guys have been playing this season. Yeah, there are seasons where I've seen you go down and then you kind of write yourselves off, if that makes sense. And there just seems to be no fight back, where this season we've definitely seen some fight back and some really nice football from you guys. It's been a bit of a strange league this year, and I'm not just saying it because we're doing so poorly. I think this is definitely a year where some of the some of the minnows, if you like, have been able to pull out some shock results against the bigger teams. And I know you've got recruitment and manager changes and all that sort of stuff to be taken into account, but I definitely think that with the lack of crowds in the stadiums currently, it's giving teams a more even playing field. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go for 1-1 with you guys on that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then finally, we've got Manchester United Wolves. Manchester United, they've kicked on a little bit in recent weeks, but they seem to be the masters of recovery. They seem to fall apart, and then all of a sudden, last 15 to 20 minutes, come alive and run teams ragged. Wolves, on the other hand, are a second half team. They've got the most goals in the second half out of all the teams this season and last. So, with that being said, they did pull out a result against Tottenham. They are missing Raul Jimenez, though, who is a major part of how they play. But they've still got some goals in them. They need to start picking up more goals. But I'm going to go for 2-2.
I think I'm going to join you on that score. Just be,
Sit on the fence.
yeah,
What I'm doing.
yeah. I think I'm going to go for 2-2. Basically, just everything you've just said there is the reasons as to why I would have done that. We did see Man U pick up a draw against Leicester. Share of the spoils. Wolves, as you said, they are the king of the second halves. But I think it depends on whether Cavani's going to be playing, because I have noticed, and this is something that I did see on when they were talking about the game. They were saying that it seems to be when Cavani comes on, that's when Manchester United pick up a bit of something about him. And I know Rashford, he had a chance very early in the game to put Manchester United ahead. And then ended up heading it over from about 4 yards out. So we've all been there. We've all been there. We've all done it. But yeah, I'm going to go with 2-2 on that one.
Fair enough. So that's going to be the last fixture of this year, of 2020. It's been an odd one. Not just for life, but for football as well. It has been an odd one. That means that before the next fixture is played, although it's on the 1st, the January transfer window will be open. So my question from a couple of weeks ago still stands. One player that you think you should be trying to go out and get in January, who would it be?
Well, I have heard rumours that a potential outing will be done in January for Arsenal.
Okay.
I don't know how true it is, because I know they're trying to either pay off his contract or ship him on, and that is Mesut Ozil. Therefore, if he does go, I think we need again to recruit into that creative midfield option. I know we have talked about him before, and there were talks about him possibly coming to the club. Then he was going to stay at his current club, and I've seen conflicting reports saying he wants to come, he wants to stay where he is, and that's Hossi Mawar. In all honesty, I don't know much about him, and I know that sounds really bad because I want him to come to the club. However, there are a lot of people that are singing his praises. Even Aubameyang come out and said, when there was talks about him potentially signing, that he was really excited about the prospect of him coming to the club. So there must be something in it to recognise that sort of talent. So yeah, that would be. And if we don't, then I would love to see Ozil back in for the last 6 months, or last 4 months, 5 months.
Yep, that makes sense. And for me, we as a club have been linked with Arnautovic, because China have put a salary cap on players at £56,000 for all those players who moved out there for mega money and now having to leave because actually they're earning less than what they would have done. A lot of West Ham fans are saying have him back, but he's a couple of years older. He's had a couple of years out. He's put on a bit of weight. The attitude he left with, I wouldn't have him back in the team. So for me, Josh King from Bournemouth.
Shout.
Yes, all right, he's 28, 29, but he's been in and around the Premier League. He's got a bit of pace about him. He's got a bit of strength about him, and he's got a lot better movement than Sebastian Haller. So, for me, Josh King. We need a striking option. We need a striker because Haller is just not good enough. It's not. He's banging on about it every week, but he's not good enough.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else to add to this week's list of merriment?
No, I think that's it. Other than I hope you guys had a wicked Christmas, and that extends to you, my fellow presenter. Yeah, I hope you had a good Christmas. Wishing everyone a very happy and healthy 2021. I'm looking forward to getting out next year and doing something next year. Hopefully, with the whole tiering system, that'll change and we can get out and do something. But until that time,
in the meantime,
yes,
there is one thing. We did start it, and it was sort of my fault that it ended because I got really hurt. The Fitness Challenge 2.0.
Yes.
For fitness people, for anyone really, but we're going to get fit-ish.
Yep.
I'm not saying I'm going to get fit because that's a lie. I'm going to get fit-ish.
Fitter.
Fitter. That's better. Yeah, it's probably better. Yeah, fitter. I'm not going to be as fat. If I lose a little bit of fat, I'll be happy. But yeah, that's coming soon. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll have something on that in early part of the new year. I think that's probably the best time to start.
And we need to work out how to do this stupid FIFA Day trophy, FIFA game capture business, because I'd love to do that with some commentary, but unfortunately the last attempt, it was a bit shonky. That may be my fault and not knowing what I'm doing. But yeah, keep your eyes out for that video as well.
Yeah, all right. Okay, well, until then, I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
We are FDT-TV. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave us some comments in the comment section or on Twitter. Our handles are always in the description and on the screen. So, until then, see you soon.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe. Share it everywhere. Check out one of our other videos, it'll be somewhere around here. Cool.